Hello, hello. It's Kazapanta, and we are a few minutes late, but welcome to the Pura Vida Project Hangout. I have Poland on the panel, and we are going to have an awesome discussion today. I'm in Costa Rica, Poland's in Australia. You know, we're different time zones. Poland just woke up and had breakfast,
Yes.
and I just had to. We have kittens now. Had to take the kittens to watch them go to the bathroom. This is the life. And now, you know, it's getting dark here, and if you saw last week's hangout, I got attacked by bugs kind of near the middle to the end, so I don't know what will happen today. Anything can happen. But I find this light behind me, it almost looks like it's very enchanted, you know? It's like I'm in like some enchanted forest or something. I'm in the jungle, so we have a really great topic today, which Paul and I, you know, we can talk about this for hours. Really, every topic we have, we could talk about for hours, but this one especially is really crucial. And we're going to talk about, you know, who do you listen to? And this is in terms of mentors, coaches, like who do you follow? Who do you listen to? Where do you get advice from? You know, and this is really key and really important because we're coming from the standpoint of being entrepreneurs, right? And this was kind of a new concept for me. You know, maybe I had a little bit of experience with it because I was a personal trainer for 3 years, and so you know, coming into being an entrepreneur, I could see obviously the logic and you know, like really asking myself who am I gonna really listen to, because we're self-taught, right? And that's a huge thing, you know, this concept of teaching yourself and going out and finding resources and finding people and finding information that will help you along your journey of entrepreneurship. And this is all, you know, you just go and get your hands dirty, and right, we've been talking about action a lot. Last week especially was a really, really great topic. And now it's just, you know, how do you know? Like, how do you know who you're supposed to listen to? Because there's so many people out there, right? There's so many gurus and experts and, you know, people preaching the dream and preaching the lifestyle and all this stuff. But like, how do you distinguish, right? And we're going to kind of talk about that from personal experience. And not just, you know, even from the standpoint of personal development. Like, all of these things, kind of going back to what I was mentioning about being a personal trainer, honestly, the way that I always approached it was, you know, I worked in a large gym chain for a few months, and then I went on my own, and I was independent. But one thing I couldn't understand is why someone would get personal training, like buy personal training packages from people that were overweight, that didn't know really what they were doing as a personal trainer. For me, it's always been, you know, do as I do, right? And actions speak louder than words. It's always been like that for me. Why would I listen to someone that hadn't done the thing that I wanted to do yet, or didn't have experience in, you know, my kind of journey, if, you know, it didn't make sense to me, right? And even in terms of types of training, right? Like, as a trainer, it's like, would I listen to someone that runs marathons if I want to be a power lifter? No, that doesn't make any sense, right? Would I listen to someone that's, you know, a bodybuilder, that does sprints, right? It's just like, it doesn't go. And it's the same for entrepreneurship, right? I had to find people and mentors and coaches and books and personal development audios and things like that, and listen to people that I had actually done the things that I want to do with my life. You know, if you know anything about Romeo and I, one of the biggest catalysts to us changing our life was reading the 4-Hour Work Week. Tim Ferriss was really the first person. We never met him, right? But reading that book, it just completely blew open all these possibilities for us all of a sudden. Because here was a guy that, you know, it's like maybe we had ideas about what we sort of wanted, but we didn't think anyone was doing it. We didn't know anyone that was doing it, right? And all of a sudden there's this guy preaching, you know, time freedom and, you know, creating a business where you can actually also have a life, right? And travel and just do what you love, and it's not centered around working a job for, you know, 40 years, right? And that was like our first kind of exposure to someone that was living just so drastically different from anything we'd known that it just totally expanded our mind. And ever since then, we've been seeking out people, and you know, 8 months later, we were in the company of people that had created million-dollar businesses online and were living the dream, you know. And we met them, and we got to, you know, work with them and got mentorship from them. And it's like, it was a huge, huge shift for us, because it's one thing to kind of hope for things and want things to change and sort of have this idea in your head of what could be, but it's a whole other thing when you actually meet someone that's doing it. It just totally shifts your mind, because you start to think, I can do this too, you know, especially if there's someone that's been where you are, that it just changes everything. So before I go into like a long thing, you know, Poe, what kind of opening remarks would you have about this? I know that this is just like going to be a really great discussion.
Oh, thanks so much for sharing, Kat. Wow, your story is definitely amazing, and it goes to show right off the bat you had a lot of good intuition about actually going out there and following the people that have done the things that you are after, especially the stuff that Tim Ferriss was writing about. So you guys are absolute legends. I would say for me, the way I would summarize it, if I was going to summarize this topic, who do you listen to? You listen to the people that have what you want and have been where you are now. Now, the reason for that is, if you follow the mega wealthy individuals that have never lifted a finger in their entire lives and have grown up with a silver spoon in their mouth, how on earth are you going to be able to duplicate that? I mean, you didn't necessarily grow up being wealthy, and I certainly didn't. So how are you going to duplicate that? So if you're going to find somebody that has been in your shoes before right now, perhaps struggling financially, perhaps someone that's lost in direction and just needs the way forward, but has found the solution to get to their dreams and find tools and techniques to make that happen. Those are the sorts of people that you want to be listening to. The people that have actually made it and have exactly what you want. So keep that in mind. And I think for a lot of people, they fall in the trap of listening to friends and family or people close by. Now, I would say I was guilty of doing that. But keep in mind, do your friends and family have what it is you want? Are they mega wealthy, for example? And I'm not necessarily saying that's what you want, but let's just use that as an example. Are they following their dreams? Are they living the life of bliss? And if they are, great, follow what they're doing. But if they're not, and I would say a majority of them aren't, I would refrain from listening to what they're saying, because they'll just give you opinions based on their experience, and a lot of their experience is living that 9-to-5 rat race. And if you want to continue to live that 9-to-5 rat race, then follow them. So just be very, very clear. What is it that you want, and who is it that has what you want and has experienced everything that you've been through? Because they'll be able to tell you from your position how to take those necessary steps to get out of it. For me, I know I've been wanting to start my own online business for quite some time, and the trap I fell into was following advice from people around me that haven't created a business for themselves. In fact, some of them, maybe even struggling a little bit financially as well. And so it's great to have friends around you and supportive networks, and keep them around as your support. But in terms of advice about your dreams, you really do need to follow the people that have actually done it, because they know all the tricks. And I would say ultimately, at the end of the day, who do you listen to? You listen to yourself. Always follow your own emotional guidance system. Go get counsel and advice from other people, the experts, but you are the only expert for yourself. No one else knows your particular unique journey and situation. So use your guidance system, and you've got to use your discretion. I mean, does this resonate with you, or does this sound like absolute, baloney? You've got to be able to make that distinction. So yes, seek counsel from others, but ultimately you're listening to yourself. Don't rely heavily always on external sources for guidance. You've got a lot of the answers within yourself. So don't ever forget that, and don't ever lose your own personal power in the process. So yeah, that's my spiel for now. Kat, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on two really, really key things that, in the moment, first of all, this idea of, I know for myself, like, maybe everyone, or, whoever is watching this, you felt this way, but I definitely did the things that were expected of me, and I always felt wrong doing it. Like, I just felt like I wasn't doing it, kind of like touching on the second point. I didn't feel like I was doing what I wanted, right? I wanted to travel, Romeo wanted to travel, but here we were, living this life for like 10 years. We were working jobs, and we got a condo, and we got married, and like all of these things happened, and we did them in a way that wasn't necessarily how we wanted it. And we kind of just, did what we thought we should, right? And there's that word, should, which I think it can kill things, like that word should. I did a lot of things that I thought I should do, and I just never found I was happy, right? And at first, when you start to, consider these things and consider your dreams and start to think about what you want, at first it will feel counterintuitive. You'll feel almost obligated, like I did. Like, I sort of felt obligated to listen to those around me, because that's who I've been around my whole life, right? How could I just dismiss their advice? Some people were older, some people had more life experience. I always was taught to listen to my elders, right? But I never asked, do they actually have what I want? And it can feel almost like you're doing something wrong. I felt like that. And then at the same time, I didn't really have too much experience following my gut. I didn't have experience following myself. And it was a very strange feeling, I can tell you. It felt very risky. It felt very outside of my comfort zone. And so where you find yourself, maybe you don't even know what that means yet, to listen to your intuition or to listen to your gut, because maybe you've never done it. Maybe, in small instances, but maybe you haven't really made those huge life decisions, like Romeo and I decided we were just going to quit our jobs and sell everything. That's a pretty big life decision, right? And we went on on because of reading the 4-Hour Work Week and pure gut, like pure instinct. We're like, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, right? And everyone around us was telling us, you're crazy, right? So what would have happened if I had listened to them? If they had said, why are you giving up your life? You're settled down. Why are you doing this now, right? And it was just, it was scary, right? But as we went, that's kind of why I told that story. Like, first we read this book of someone we never met, but this opened up possibilities. And so we followed our gut, right? And we kept going. And then all of a sudden, 8 months later, we found ourselves in the company of people that had done these incredible things and that had, gone through struggles and challenges and their own journey and, had to create wealth and all of these things. And they were living the life of their dreams, right? So I knew at that point I could follow my gut. I could follow my instincts. And, it's kind of a funny thing because when you first start out, you don't, it's like the only way I can say it is when you first start, it is hard. It is hard to start because you don't have any personal experience yet with having any sort of successes, following your gut and going for something that's so different, right? So at first we were kind of just scared, right? We were still willing to take the risk and we still knew we wanted it more than anything. We knew our dream, we knew our why, right? But we didn't have that personal experience yet as to if it would work or not. But as we kept going, things started to happen to show us that we can do it. And things, we got to Costa Rica, and all of a sudden we were in Costa Rica. And all of a sudden we found a business. And all of a sudden we knew what we were doing. And all of a sudden, it's like all of these things, people kept coming into our life. We were seeking them out, and they kept coming into our life. And then it was just like one thing after another, and then this snowball started. It was like this momentum built up. And then it got to the point where I could, without a shadow of a doubt, follow my gut, because I knew that it had worked so many times in my life that I could keep going, right? But, maybe if I had someone tell me when I first started this, I wouldn't have been so afraid or doubted myself so much because I didn't have anyone saying that, right? I didn't have anyone saying, just keep going, it'll happen, you'll see things come true over and over and over again. And I just had to kind of let it happen. Like, I had to figure it out, right? Like, Romeo and I had to create these things in our life to start believing in them, And it's kind of this crazy thing because now we can kind of connect the dots backwards, right? But when you're in the moment, you can't connect them forward yet because they haven't happened. But now connecting backwards, it's just, you can reverse engineer success. And there are key principles to it. And, they're not complicated. They're simple. And this is one of those keys, mentorship and, really thinking about who you listen to, who you follow, who you take advice from, and also learning, because I think it is a process, learning to really trust yourself, to trust your gut, to trust your intuition. That's been the hardest thing for me, to trust myself. And now, I still get challenged, I still have obstacles, but I know without a shadow of a doubt where I'm headed. It's this knowingness that happens, and it's incredible. And it's also because I sought out people that could tell me, their story and their challenges and their failures, because failure has a lot to do with it. So, Poe and I connected on this journey too, and we've both had, experiences with it, but I know we've accessed similar personal development information, and she's seen it work in her life, and so have I, and we're here to tell you and sort of report back. It is a very, very powerful principle, right? As long as you combine these other things that we've been talking about, which we've been talking about every week, knowing your dream, what is your dream, taking action on it, right? We talked a lot about this last week. And then also, what do you take action on? How do you figure that out? Well, this is part of that intuition and seeking out people that are out there that have done these things. So kind of pass it back over to you both.
Um, Thanks, Kat. It made me think a lot about, and you touched on it, but it did make me think a lot about how you and I first met, and the whole journey of us meeting and getting together and working together. And I remember that at the beginning I was, and you may have heard me talk about this before, but I was extremely fixated on a particular way I was going to get my business done. I was listening to advice of other people, and I was fixated on doing the business case, going to get an investor somehow. I knew I wanted an investor that that had experience online as an entrepreneur, and I wanted one that could be able to coach and mentor me. But lo and behold, Kat came into my life. She started giving me all these tips. She was right in front of me. She showed me her blog, and it pretty much said they were living the dream lifestyle in Costa Rica, leaving their rat race life in Canada, but I couldn't see the woods for the trees. Instead, I was still listening to advice of other people and not pouncing on this opportunity. But at the same time, I knew everything had to do with timing as well. And it's funny, as soon as I made a conscious decision that, damn it, I'm going to listen to what my gut has to say. And my gut is telling me this whole business case stuff right now sucks. And it's boring. Like, it was great in terms of gathering information. Yes, it was valuable in that sense. But, man, doing it on my own, basically, like, trying to design my business and pretty much more or less doing it by myself wasn't fun. And yeah, when I made the decision, okay, enough's enough, I got to listen to what my gut is saying. I actually opened my eyes and thought, okay, here's this woman, Kat here, that's been offering me all this great information. Like, what is the story with her? And she didn't tell me that much about what she was doing. She just kept offering me all this great information. And then when I was studying her training and then I knew what she was doing, I thought, okay, yep, I gotta be a part of this. And the reason why I need to be a part of this is because she's been through my journey. She has what I want, but she's also been through the process. And the amazing thing is, I would say I would have lacked the confidence getting into online marketing if it wasn't for Kat and Romeo. Because, yeah, I had all these preconceptions that it had to be a certain way. You had to follow a specific formula in which it was quite dry, very salesy, very, I don't know, formal, nothing. And what I really love about them is they're getting into the guts of it. They're getting into the dream of it. And best of all, they're about adding value to other people's lives by getting them to really look at their why. Like, what is your dream? And getting people to believe in dreams again. They have a plethora of awesome online marketing training as well, but the fact that they're so authentic and so real, and you can be authentic and real and do well in this business, I was sold. End of story, I was sold. Because I'm all about following dreams, encouraging others to follow their dreams too, but also at the end of the day, you got to be real. None of this pretending to be somebody else. They were real and I wanted to be real too, which was perfect. And a funny story, a week into online marketing, I actually had somebody quite aggressively telling me that what I was doing was completely wrong and it was all a big scam, and that, oh, you know, the only thing that you're basically doing right here, like they went onto my site, they went onto my Facebook fan page, and the only thing that you're doing right here is promoting the Tim Ferriss book. And I thought, oh, well, that's great. Oh, well, that's great. Well, thank you. But in my opinion, if what I'm doing is so wrong, then I don't really give a damn what they have to say, because I'm very much focused on being able to uplift and help people enhance their lives. And if what I'm doing is so wrong, well, too bad. That's just your opinion. But the reason why I mention this is people in your lives, or people, strangers, or all kinds of people, they're gonna want to always deliver their opinion. But at the end of the day, such as this particular person, are they actually living the life of their dreams? Are they successful entrepreneurs? And in my particular case, was this person a successful online entrepreneur? No. They felt they had a plethora of great information and they knew all this stuff about online marketing. The theory of they've jumped online and got some free FAQ somewhere. I'm thinking. Or they have some minor experiences in online marketing, suddenly they're the expert. But my question is, have a lot of these people actually applied this knowledge and are now successful entrepreneurs? I don't think so. So think about that, especially if you get the haters coming your way. Ask yourself, do these people actually have what you want? Are they actually successful? And I would guarantee you, no, because people that are successful, they're busy working on their business, or they're busy living the life of their dreams. They don't have time to go randomly clicking on somebody's page and hating on it. They've got too many other important things to do. So, haters, we love you, and you give value in terms of personal growth. Yes, I give you a thumbs up for that, for making us stronger, but really, just focus on what you need to do to be better too, just like the rest of us. We're just trying to be better. So that's my slight rant for a little while, Kat.
No, I love it. That's like that's such a good way to put it, because like these haters, right? Or these people that come and say, no, you should do this, or I read this about this, or this has a bad reputation, or whatever it is that they have, that they come to you with. And some of them, it's not really that they're trying to be negative either. They're just they think they're honestly giving you really good advice, and it's almost like they want to protect you. I had that a lot, where people came to me and they were just like, what you're doing is a scam, all these things. And I'm just like, thanks for your advice, but, I'm doing it and living it, and you've never done it before, right? It's just like, it's kind of funny to me. And it goes back to the example I had with personal training. If there's a trainer, as a trainer myself, I knew that I had to be able to do what I taught, and I was fit, and that was part of what was my focus. If I'm going to train someone, I also have to be able to do it or have done it. And it was a huge thing for me. It's just a level of integrity, right? And it's the same with business. It's like, you know, also what you said, like, first of all, I don't care. I'm not going to have the time to go out and look at what people are doing and say that's wrong and then message them and tell them. I mean, why would I, I'm focused on building my dream, working with people that actually want to do the same, right? And focusing on also, who I follow, who I get mentorship from. And because it's a process. It's always about progress, right? But what am I going to accomplish if I look back or I look at people that in no way can really help me kind of to move forward? Of course I love to give value to people, right? And sometimes maybe they just need a wake-up call. Maybe they're just scared to go out and actually implement the things that they know so well, right? But it just reminds me of the quote that I know you know, to know and not to do is not to know. It doesn't matter how much information you have in your head. Have you applied it? Applied knowledge is all that matters, Have you applied it? Even if you're at the beginning of your journey, are you taking action on it? Are you applying it? That's all that matters, right? If you're just sitting there with all this information in your head, oh, I know all this stuff, okay, but show me something. Show me a result. Show me progress. Show me anything. Then I'll listen, right? But without that, it's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. And it's like a lot of people go on that. They go on information and just tons of information. But for what? What is the reason behind it, And this is another thing. It's like even listening to, people complain about things, right? Complain about the world, complain about their job, complain about their life, right? Okay, I understand, things are hard, but what actions are you taking to change it? If you're very upset about something and very upset about a condition somewhere, whether it's your own condition or in your community or wherever it is, okay, I understand. But what are you doing to help it? Because you're not helping it just complaining about it. Are you taking action? Are you putting yourself into a position where in the future you can actually do something about it? And this was really a huge shift for me because, I was surrounded by people that talked a lot about different things and complained a lot about different things. And I always thought, okay, but, because, one thing Tim Ferriss says is not to listen to the news. And it is negative, and it is skewed, and it is, everything is mixed around, and it's not necessarily real, and it's not really to stay in the dark. It's just to realize, what you focus on, where you put your attention, that's what's going to expand. And so if you focus on something where you can bring a solution to the table, and you're actually implementing things that can create that, that is like the best thing that you could do. That is true action. That is true applied knowledge, right? But just complaining, just talking about how things are bad, okay. But then what? Keep going. What are you going to do about it, And I found too that with the way Romeo and I decided to live our life, it's like people had all these opinions about it, right? And had opinions about everything, had advice about everything, right? And for me, it was like, there's a lot of stuff about money too, right? People are kind of afraid of it for some reason. It's like they want to help people, right? But at the same time, they're not willing to go out and create that wealth because there's some stigma there, right? And it's like they want to help people, but they can't help themselves even, right? And that kind of baffles me now, right? But how am I going to help other people if I can't even help myself first, right? And I know that if I can put myself into a position where I have resources, then I can use those resources to actually create change, right? But unless I do that, unless I make a conscious decision to go out and actually take action on something, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anything. You can sit and complain about how you want to help people and how bad it is, but okay, do something about it, right? And that was all of it. That was the foundation to why we decided to change our life, because even within our immediate circle, we wanted to help. We wanted to change things. We wanted to help people see something different, you know. And whether or not they took action, it doesn't matter, right? But at least we want to put ourselves in a position where we can affect as many lives as we can. And in that way, change things that we're passionate about and help people, you know, progress. And we've gone down this path of online entrepreneurship, and we have, you know, huge dreams of what's going to happen in the future, and companies we're going to build, and products we're going to create, and people we're going to work with all over the world, you know. And this is part of it. This is part of the dream and the vision, right? But none of it would matter if I just sat there, right? And it's like all of these things tie together so much, and it's just coming back to, like, you know, the haters and all that. Like you said, Paul, I mean, okay, but what are you doing about it? You can complain, you can tell me I'm doing everything wrong, but show me something you've done. That's it. And that, to me, is end of argument if there's nothing to show, right? So I think this is a really huge thing. I don't know if you have
It
anything
is.
to...
I'll just I'll just wrap up my segment of it by just saying and reiterating what you've said, which is basically knowledge is power, but only if it's applied. I mean, so many times I've seen people become professional students where they keep training and training and training, reading, listening to a ton of audios, going from event to event, and they just keep that cycle going. Oh, I just don't know enough. Well, how are you going to know better? How are you going to improve? And the only way is by applying a lot of that knowledge. That's the only way. And you'll see profound results by taking action. You're not going to see anything happen just by, you know, sitting still or standing still and meditating. I mean, no, meditating's not going to work. It's going to help you dream build and maybe put out your commands to the universe. But hello, the universe gives you those opportunities for you to then take action on. So, again, knowledge applied is where the real power is. And remember, guys, there's a ton of training and information from external sources, but at the end of the day, you gotta listen to yourself, and what your gut is telling you is the right thing to do. So yeah, that's my spiel, Kat.
I think I will end it there, because that's like, you know, that is the point of it all, right? And so, you know, ask yourself, like, who do you really listen to? Who do you really follow? And do you listen to your gut? Do you take action on those things? Do you take action on what your intuition tells you? And really think about these things, you know, write it out and be honest. Right? Back to that brutal, honest truth, right? So, you know, thank you, Poe. I know we could probably keep going, but we're going to resume next Thursday on a slightly different tangent, because we keep actually going. It's flowing very well, I'm finding, with the topics. So, you know, if you missed any Hangouts, then I can, you know, you can send us some feedback and some comments, and we can link you up with some of the previous Hangouts we've done. But these are all like real personal experiences we've had, and they've been life-changing. So thank you for tuning in. You know, today the bugs weren't so bad, although a big moth kept flying into my head. And thank you, Poe. It was really great. You know, can't wait for next week. Pura Vida, guys.